all of different shades. It gets cold out here, everybody's blue. It gets cold out here, everybody's blue. One cries all night.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Just ripping.
Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be.
Just ripping.
Special guest and tech and talk. A musicology.
Just ripping.
Coming to you live at the same time. Here every week.
Just ripping.
Jump in the room. Let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep.
Just ripping.
What's up, everybody? It's another Tuesday, June 17th. We are zooming through this 2025. I could tell you time is just flying. Today was nuts. Like, I woke up and then here we are doing the show. So crazy. This is Just Riff, and we do it every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But next week, we're going to have a new time for the show. We're going to be doing the show from 2 p.m. in the afternoon Eastern Standard Time. So we'll see you next week at 2 p.m., not 8:30 p.m. And we'll let everybody know. We'll advertise that. We are powered by Rug Radio. I am Hefner. I got my co-host Cookie Rabinowitz in the building. Cookie, what's good with you, man? I know you've been busy. What's happening this week?
Oh man, first off, thanks for reminding me about the show time change because I would have forgot. And I think I'm stoked. I'm stoked for a daytime show. It'll force, usually I sleep till around 7 or 8 o'clock at night. So this way I'll get up, a little early, maybe around 1:30. Hold on. But I don't know. But yeah, it's been a pretty busy week.
Oh, it's awesome.
And it's been, it's been a good weekend. But just been keeping busy, I've been, as you know, I've been working on some things with some new music and releasing some stuff, getting ready to release some stuff through a music app that I've been building. And that's kind of fun. And when it's built, I want to talk about it more. But right now, I just am kind of scratching my head a lot. And, NPM run build, doing a lot of that, and then crash and then do it again. But yeah. It's fun though.
You wanted to talk about some stuff. You wanted to talk about some stuff. Let's get into that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was just mentioning last week was a pretty these guys were older in life and everything, but Sly, actually, the gentleman, which arm is it? He's tattooed on my arm for like the past, 20 years or so. Sylvester Stewart.
Dude, you know what? I'm going to do something because this is actually, this is one of your dudes that really you were heavily influenced with. So normally this is like a segment that I do, but I think we should change it for anybody that wants to do it. So I'm going to just play this and then we'll do it on Sly. Sounds good. Okay. Hang on. Hang tight.
Sound check.
Check 1, 2, 2.
Hefner's gonna bless the mic.
Sound check.
Hey, 2, hey.
Riffing on a Tuesday night.
Sound check.
All right, we're going to pass this one to Cookie. Cookie, take it away. Tell us who you're going to talk about and take as long as you want.
Well, last week we lost Sylvester Stewart and Brian Wilson from Pet Sounds, the Beach Boys. These were two brilliant artists. And Sylvester Stewart, Sly and the Family Stone, not just me, but he kind of changed. I believe he evolved into a new type of soul and funk. And I just really liked his message, man. Like when Sly was making music, he wasn't making it for any particular race or gender or ethnicity. He just was making music to try to bring people together. And to me, that's, the only reason why AI wouldn't win. People that are afraid of technology and afraid of robots, that's kind of silly unto itself. But if you are, there's people that do things. There's humans that create things that connect people from all different walks of life. And Sly was that guy. He made music and he welcomed everybody. You know, I've heard certain artists kind of alienate other ethnicities and kind of separate. And, you know, it's clever to separate, but it's intelligent to include. And I feel that's what Sly's music did. You know, you can Wikipedia him and find out all the details. But I have, you know, some interesting stories. You know, when I was a kid, my parents had the shittiest record collection. It was Paul Williams, Kenny Rogers. Nothing against those artists.
Yeah, my mom had some of that stuff too.
No,
I ain't gonna front.
nothing cool at all. As a matter of fact, the movie Sergeant Pepper's, when that came out, I thought the Bee Gees wrote them songs. I was so clueless as a child, you know. And then, but
man.
my dad actually had a friend that he helped kind of recover from some drug addiction and stuff. When I was a kid, I didn't really know all this at the time, and I found in my dad's drawer a bunch of these records. They were like in his drawer. It would be the equivalent of like the dirty magazines under your dad's bed, you know. But this was
yeah.
this wasn't dirty magazines. It was records, and it was Sly and the Family Stone, Otis Redding, Marvin Gaye, and they weren't in the house,
Right.
and it was weird because they were hidden. And I
Yeah.
took them like any good kid would do. He took them out of his dad's drawer and he brought them in. And I discovered Sly that way. And I later talked to my father, you know, later in life, and I found out that those records were there because he was helping this guy kind of recovery from addiction. And he got these records as a gift from the guy, like, because he helped the guy out. And what a gift they were, because they like kind of enlightened me and inspired my whole trajectory of being an artist and musician. Jimi Hendrix, Woodstock, all this shit
Wait,
that was.
tell me about Sly. I want to know. So,
Sorry.
what was it about Sly, real quick? Like, you know, because we all have like musicians, or we have people in our lives that have really heavily influenced us, right? And you have a tattoo of him on your arm. That's commitment, right? So, yeah, what was
Good one, too.
what?
Check it out. It's this whole thing right here. That's him. I don't know if you can see it. Hold on.
Show
Can
the
you see it?
audience. I've seen
Can
it.
you-
I've seen it before. It's
Can
really
you
cool.
see it in the camera?
Yeah.
It's really good work. This guy, Jack Hatchett, this tattoo guy, did it for me. He's
Jack
really
Hatchett. He
cool.
sounds like he's a guitar player, singer. Jack Hatchett. Okay. Or a wrestler or a WWE star. You know what I mean? Jack Hatchett. You know, that's he's
I
got.
hope I get his name right. It was like 20 years ago, so I maybe his name's not. I think that was his.
Yeah.
Though.
But I want to know about. So, what song was it for you? What was the first song that you heard that you really got the bug?
It was everything. I mean, a lot. Real quick. So a lot of like Sly fans, they like more of his like "There's a Riot Going On" album and that kind of stuff. And then previous to that, he had a lot of, you know, the Everyday People type of stuff,
Yeah.
and the dance to the music, like the feel good stuff. But I love all that stuff too. I mean, pretty much everything he did. His rendition, if anybody ever wants to check out, so there's that old song too, you know, Que Sera Sera, whatever will be, will be. It's an old, like, I don't know, it's probably like 60s tune, or maybe even late 50s. I don't know, but Sly covered it, and his voice on it is just, it's beautiful. It's amazing. And he just sang with such emotion, and he said everything with such conviction. And that's something that I don't believe AI will ever have, you know, because how can you sing something with conviction when it's not your own experience? It's an amalgamation of everybody else's experiences that push shit out for you to swipe and scrape. And
Do you not think that the prompts will eventually get there? Like
never,
with
they never will. They
You don't
never
think it
will,
will
because
get
they will
the
never
cadence?
prompts. They never will. Prompts will never experience. Prompts will never have human experience. But they're awesome. I love AI. It's cool. I fuck with it every day. But the prompts will never experience human emotion. And this is why I love Sly. Because, you know, it's like every artist is telling a story. Even if you don't like their story, hopefully they're being truthful, and they're telling their story, and they're not trying to say something that you want to hear. They're just kind of expressing themselves from their own experiences. And this is something that the robots will never have over us humans. So
there are
let's
some
be,
human
grateful for
robots
this.
though, but there are some human robots as you know, which is why the reason why I say that is because you got me thinking. It's like you do have music like Sly and Brian Wilson, and we could talk about a bunch of really, really good musicians. But then you do have those clones. You do have those robots that are those one-hit wonders that are just making the music just to sell a song to whatever for their 15 minutes of fame. To me, those people are actually robots, man, because they don't have
Well,
any
you
soul.
know,
My opinion.
well, well, there's an element to that, but I give sometimes. So here's something I think about a lot. In the '70s, you had these young teenage and artists in the early '20s, like
Don't
Joni
forget, you had
Mitchell.
cocaine, you had acid,
Well,
you
no, but
had
here's
good
my
drugs.
point. Here's my
Don't forget
point. You
that.
had like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. You had Joni Mitchell. You had Carly Simon. I'm naming some oldies people,
Sure,
but these
sure.
people were writing lyrics in their teens
Yeah.
that I'm not even at a maturity level now where I understand. Like, I'm just saying, it's like, but the reason why I say that is because I don't get mad at kids when kids emulate and they imitate, because when they're young, it's kind of what you do, and that's kind of how you grow into your own style, and you have to feel
You
comfortable in
figure
your
out.
own
Yeah.
skin, and eventually you feel comfortable in your own skin, and you say, hey, you know what, like, I want to kind of say what I want to say. I don't want to say what anybody else wants to say. But when
Right.
you're a kid, you got to go through that process. And especially today, it's super difficult for kids. I mean, everybody has it rough when they're in school, if you're not like the popular, whatever. But today, that version of a kid has got it really tough. So I don't really knock kids for emulating and imitating. But at some point in your life, you got to do your own thing. And Sly
Yeah.
definitely did his own thing. And
Yeah.
he did it while including people. And Family Affair, come on, man. If you want me to stay,
It's
Google
a
these songs,
family
YouTube them, Spotify
affair.
them, stream them, download them on your face. These songs will make you feel good, man. It's like,
Make you feel good right now. Like I feel great because the Florida Panthers are in the Stanley Cup Finals and they're up 1-0. I'm just updating everybody if you guys are curious to know. But the Florida Panthers are gonna hope they whoop that ass. Hope they beat Edmonton and call it a day. Win 2 in a row. No, I think look, Sly heavily sampled in hip hop, huge influence on hip hop, huge influence on rock. I mean, he's and like you said, like he's included a lot of people, right? So he's touched so many lives, and those people have touched so many lives, and it's just like that, 6 degree of separation. When you have musicians that are like that yeah, it trickles down and like deeply rooted,
yeah,
right? So
yeah. I want to add to that real quick. Sly got his start like he was a DJ at a radio station, and Chuck D was too. And not that their music is the same, but they both got that soul in their conviction and delivery of music. I don't know, like maybe maybe because they were in an industry where they talked on the mic, because back then the DJs actually talked and said shit instead of just pushing buttons that the robots told them to push because they were on some list that they got. Um, but
yeah,
they said they talked a lot, and they said smart shit, and they're smart people, and they made music that was accessible to everybody. Like you didn't have to be smart to understand their music, but yet it was smart music.
yeah. And talk about like the Beach Boys too, Brian Wilson and the Beach Boys. I mean, that they those guys have influenced a ton of people as well. And the music, they've just made hits upon hits upon hits upon hits. It's like incredible. Talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
Well, Brian Wilson, it's funny. I saw him the first time he ever performed Pet Sounds. He did it in its entirety. This was about 5 years ago. Me and my cousins went to see the show, and my girl. And I'm not going to say I was a crazy Beach Boys fan, but I appreciated their music for sure. But definitely, as soon as I went to that show, they opened up. He opened up with "Do do 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 do." Wouldn't it be nice? And like, it's like this guy was insane about his production and his orchestration, and him and Sly both were. Sly did a lot of crazy things with instruments, the way they spoke to each other, and it's funny because I was actually watching a little clip on Brian Wilson talking about this in his music, and they both did this. like they just were very interesting in the way they layered different instruments and different tracks, you know. And the flip side of that is it's really cool when some guys just bang on guitars and drums and scream too. Like I love that shit too. But these guys, they really were creative with their production. And there's a lot of one thing about today music today. There's a lot of really creative producers because they have the tools. Back then they would bring orchestras in. If you needed a violin player, you need a violin player. If whatever, somebody banging on a whatever, and they would all be there. They would try different shit, and it took a lot of time. These days it's kind of cool because you can access all these sounds right from your fingers, and that's neat. Like that's neat. I'm not mad at that at all. But I think that's why today's producers are kind of fast tracked to that production line of thinking, where back in the day, these guys really were kind of outside the box and brilliant in the way they figured out how to put it together. George Martin with the Beatles too. These people thought very, they thought of compositions and orchestration in different ways, and it made for interesting music. And just one other thing about Sly, like Sly's music, in essence, it's like funk, like basic raw funk vibe. But somehow he managed to make that always interesting, and that music doesn't have to be interesting. It just has to kind of make you move, because that's what it's there for. It's there to move you. But his music, I think, and his lyrics were very powerful, very, very moving. And his music, similar, like it was interesting, although it had, the raw feel good vibes to it. So I don't know. There you have
Just
it.
Just riffing for real, bro. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, like when I think about it, there's artists that are similar. Like I think Frank Zappa also was like one of those guys that had incorporated so many different things. Chick Corea with Return to Forever. And I think there was a lot of there's not many of those musicians, but there are a few of them that really stand out. Sly was definitely one of them. Brian Wilson, for real, and these others that I mentioned as well. I mean, there's a bunch others, as well, that are, that are the same in that they've included a plethora of great people. They know how to arrange and orchestrate, and they're really meticulous about what they're doing and articulate in the way that they deliver it. So yeah, I give it up. Rest in peace, man. It was sad news for sure. Anytime it's anybody that's been or influential in anybody's lives and they've passed on, definitely many people feel that.
For sure. And I just want to say, Sly's been kind of for many years, kind of like out of it, not making music. And it seemed like he was kind of going through a rough patch of life. I don't know all the details, but it was definitely one of my bucket things, was always to be like, yo, man, like, at least kind of brush elbows with him, maybe pass by him and get a rec drink at the 7-Eleven with him or something,
Yeah.
But that never happened. But I have him on my arm, so there he is. I'll show it again because I love it. But
He's chilling. He's with you. He's with you forever, bro.
For sure.
Sly. Chilling forever, bro. So, all right, man. Listen, we have an awesome guest tonight. We have Jacob from Spawn. Lemonaide is the company. And I think it's, give me 1 second. I'll tell you real quick here. It's Lemonaide, LEMONAIDE.ai. They spell lemonade a little bit different. So we got Jake.
Damn. Dude, we lost you. We lost you.
I got no idea what just happened. Did you lose me at all? Because I felt like I lost the whole feed.
I think your connection went out.
Everything's a little getting, yeah, it's weird over here. It's so odd. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I mean, we're back up. We lost you again. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba.
I don't know what's going on. Give me a second. Let me just.
Would you pay your damn cable bill for crying out loud?
So crazy. Of course, all of a sudden it was raining out here earlier today too. So I don't know if the weather has anything to do with it, but sorry everybody. So I want to bring up our special guest, Jacob from Lemonaide. Jacob, thank you very much for being with us. Glad to have you here with us. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing?
Excellent. If we run into any technical difficulties, just chill. Hopefully it works itself out and we have no issues. So you're from a company called Spawn, or from Lemonaide, right? Is it Lemonaide and then Spawn is the product for Lemonaide? Okay. So Lemonaide, let's start there with Lemonaide. What is Lemonaide about? Like, why would anybody want to go looking for Lemonaide? Music producers, so on and so forth.
Yeah, so I mean, I think we really differentiate from other AI music companies because we are very firm on our stance with ethical AI. So I think that's probably the main difference out there, and we work directly with the producers to train all of our models, and we use their data. They consent us in using their data. So I think that's probably the main point.
Okay, so you're taking a human's data from a human, and then it gets spawned into like the AI grabs a hold of it, right? What's the process?
So pretty much the process is we ask the producers to give us a certain amount of MIDIs, and that's basically a file of notes. And it could be 4 bars, 8 bars, whatever. We usually ask for a minimum of 500, but the more the better, because
500 per producer.
Yeah, 500 per producer or per model, because the more that the AI model gets, the easier or the more accurate it can output in the image and likeness of that producer. So once we get that, we start training the model on the AI, and it's a lot of technical stuff. So I don't need to get into it, but basically it takes a few months to train it, because we have to identify certain files that might be working or might not be working, and we may ask them to send in more, and we basically do some kind of back end stuff with the model to make sure that it's outputting something that it should be.
I think that's awesome. It's really, really cool how it kind of works, because I've been messing with Spawn. You guys have sent the software over, and you can keep like this music comes out, and it's you would say everything is unique. There's not going to be one Spawn like another. Is that true?
I would say it's 99.9% true.
Okay, so there is a chance. So you're saying there's a chance.
Yeah, there's a very, very, very small chance that you might get the same exact output. But on Spawn, you can generate melodies, chords, and a bass line. So there are a ton of combinations that will have to come out. But we've also kind of partnered with Software Audio to make this. So huge shout out to them for being a great partner in that.
So how did this come together then between Lemonaide and Sauce?
So I think pretty much Software's CEO and Lemonade's CEO have kind of been acquaintances for a while, and they saw what we were doing with our Lemonaide app, and they said we got to make something together. So we got to it. Started I think a year or two ago with them, and we dropped Spawn back in last fall, I think August, September-ish. And so yeah, it's been really successful. So we've been more so focusing on that more than our app itself.
Oh, I get it. Okay, I mean it's taken off in that way that it allows you to focus more on it, and the other is just chilling on the back burner for a minute until you could get back to it. But I think it's great because you figured something out, and you're focusing and paying more attention to that as people are taking a liking to it. What has been the response from the public, from the producers. I've seen a bunch of stuff on Instagram where producers are promoting this thing, talking about it. I've seen it on YouTube Shorts. I'm sure it's elsewhere like TikTok and whatever not, but talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it just kind of depends on what your algorithm feeds you on social media. Because for me, I think mine is very positive in terms of people embracing AI and whatnot. But there will be some comments here and there that they might be skeptical, not about our product itself, but just about AI in general.
Sure.
So I know, not just in music, but everywhere, man. I mean, there's a lot of skepticism, but you'll come to see if you pay attention into the music industry, the major labels are taking a very big chunk of their focus towards AI, because it's changing everything, and it's moving faster than anyone can kind of comprehend.
I get 100% get it. I mean, there's Timbaland, the producer Timbaland is working with another major company in AI with music. And it's, I mean, I'm excited to see what comes from it, and what happens from it, just because I think there's nothing wrong with it. And, the cool thing is like, okay, I think, on a level of having fun, you have these AI softwares, these AI products that you're not really manipulating it, so to speak. You just kind of put a prompt in and it spits this out. With a product like yours, with Spawn, I can actually use this MIDI keyboard back here, and I can use this, and I can use it as an instrument. Like you can use Spawn as an instrument, right? So I can play with the whatever the AI is spitting out, which is kind of cool, the notes, which I think is awesome. Or I can separate the bass with the melody and the chords.
Yeah.
So to me, this is a really cool tool. I don't know who your competition is. I don't really want to talk about the competition because the show is, we're having a conversation with you. But I don't know what else I haven't seen anything else to this effect that that allows the producer or the person who wants to make music with your product to be able to do what they can do with it actually. You know what I mean? So I think that's really cool. What was the approach to coming up with this concept and idea? Because you could have really done anything, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, I mean, I'll tell you a little bit about our CEO. He was a rapper, way back when. He's been a rapper and since he was, very young, and so he started kind of, at a young age being very interested in music, and he was actually a developer at Google before he, founded Lemonaide Music. But
he was say that again. He was a what?
A developer at Google, engineer.
Protect the devs at all costs.
Yeah, our team is very developer heavy. I'm pretty much the marketing business guy, and the rest of our team are AI scientists and developers. So very lopsided towards them, but they're great minds. Sure. Yeah, so he kind of I would say 2-3 years ago he kind of had this vision of building something like Lemonaide, and he actually had come out with a lot more simple app called Lemonaide without the E, Lemonaide 1.0, and then just a little around 2 years ago, I'd say, launched Lemonaide with an E. And so that's our current app.
What was the I mean, why add the E? What was the purpose?
I think it was just the difference in the models, and obviously the UI. But yeah, it's there was one model in that app, and then when we launched this app, we had a separate model, little more customization available. But we also launched something called Collab Club with BeatStars that introduced 4 more models.
Wow, very interesting. Cookie, you want to jump in here? You have to unmute your mic though, because
Hey, what's up, guys?
what's up?
Yeah, sure. A couple things. So just 2 questions. So the first part of the conversation, you were saying that like the producer sends you some stuff, and then you kind of go through and filter it to see if like you maybe need more stuff and some different stuff. Now, what do you go by their data by, or music? Let's call it music, I guess. Is it from if like I guess do you listen to it and see if it kind of sounds like it all jive? Because I know you're a DJ as well, so do you just kind of use your discerning ear and be like, oh well, some of these really aren't useful for us, so we'll get more. Is
Well, I'd say first of all, the process that we use is using MIDI. So obviously you can't really listen to it unless you put a sound on it. But I would say it's kind of we want to stick to a certain whatever the producer wants to do. So in terms of major, minor scale, I would say it's really up to what the producers want to do, and then we kind of build or train the AI around what they provide us, as long as it works out.
understood. I was just but I was interested in the part where the works out part, because I like, in other words, what, like if a producer sends you like a bunch of these MIDI files, like what is the process of figuring out, okay, well, we need more, because you were saying like sometimes you need more from them. Is it just because I'm trying to figure out what the is it like a kind of like a quality control, like if you get some stuff you think like, oh, we don't really think this is a good melody, or is it just something? I'm just trying to
So
understand that.
what we say we get 500 midis, and we basically generate something from that. We can tell right away if the midis either need to change or we just need more, and if the generations are very, very similar, it's most likely that we would need more midis. So I think hopefully that
I see. So that's kind of going with what Hef was saying about the similarity thing. Like you do a quality control to make sure you have a diversity there.
Yeah,
And another
exactly.
thing, oh, cool. And then another thing, I thought it would be cool while I was messing with the app, and thank you so much. Me and Hef got the app, and we we messed around with it. I know Hef did quite a bit, and I did myself. And I noticed, so there's basically like a selection tool, right? You select the different things. Is there ever going to be functionality where it can actually be text-based prompt as well? Like a user could actually type in their own.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. We take our user feedback very seriously, and we just kind of prioritize based off of what is feasible in terms of our capacity, finances, and all that. But yeah, that's definitely something that could come out in other competitions, products, or ours.
What's the biggest thing or the biggest feedback that you've gotten so far that you've implemented from the consumers' feedback?
That's a good question. I would say probably 4 to 8 bar loops. A lot of people wanted 8 bar instead of 4. I would say, with Spawn, I think we only had a couple moods on Lemonaide, and then with Spawn, there's a ton that you can select from. So I think that a lot of people needed that, which has been really helpful.
Very cool product, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
What have you produced with it? Like, what have you done with it?
So I actually kind of like to make, I would say, like hip hop beats with it. Maybe I use the chords for maybe some house. But what I like to do is kind of use Lemonaide to the Kato on the track model in Lemonaide to start with a melody, and then I'll go into Spawn and maybe get more like a darker ambient vibe for the chords and the bass line, and kind of see what I can do from there. And then pretty much I do like the sounds in Spawn, but for Lemonaide I'll usually use either my own piano or the piano that that gives.
Yeah, I love it, dude. It's such a cool, really, really cool tool. It's just a fun thing to do. Now, what about producers that have been using this product? Has there been anything majorly released? Anybody, since we are a music and tech-based show, has anybody created anything that's on the blockchain?
Yeah, good question. I do not think so on that. But in terms of if anyone's released any big tracks, Not sure. I do know that we have a Discord, and they, we got producers that are constantly sending beats that they make, or with Lemonaide, and then they will post it out on Spotify and BeatStars and whatnot. But yeah, I think if anyone, if we could ask anyone, it would probably be the four people that helped us make the collab club models.
Cool. Hey, I was wondering, while we're on that subject, what do you think of Timberland's new project? Have you heard of that with the AI and all that
Yeah,
stuff?
he made an AI artist, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think that's really, really interesting. I was looking at the comments. I knew it was going to be very controversial, but I think it's really, really interesting. It's AI is getting to the point where it's kind of hard to differentiate whether it's real or not. I mean, even videos.
It's getting really good. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
and we were at a conference a couple weeks ago that even talked about how we're going to differentiate between like music. So yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how YouTube and the streaming services will differentiate between AI artists or AI made music. And I think that'll play a big part in what Timbaland's doing with his new AI artist. But it's very interesting. I like what's going on there.
Are you guys sponsoring anybody in regards to like producers or anything to that regard, in that regards?
I want to say sponsoring, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we have the producers we partner with on the collab club. We got Mantra, DJ Payne, Kavi, and Kato on the track. But yeah, we do have another big name coming in the collab club. So
that was kind of leading where I wanted to go as far as marketing, since this is what you do marketing wise. How do you market this to get the Timberlands to come to try your product, to come and mess around with your product, the more bigger name producers that will bring more eyeballs to the product itself?
Right. Yeah. So I would say, I mean, they kind of come to us, not just producers, but also partners. And I think BeatStars plays a big role in that, because they see us on their site, and they're like, hey, I want to make my own model, whatnot. But, MJR CEO also has a lot of, deep connections, within the music industry, to get us, talking with these types of producers. But they normally just see us on social media, and they reach out, or they're connected from someone else that we already know, and they're like, hey, let's talk or see what we can do.
Is there anybody that you guys have been like that you can tell us that you've been eyeballing or talking to? Any alpha that you can drop on the show?
Unfortunately, no, but I know we do have a big name, with partnering with a model, and that is coming out very soon.
Awesome.
Just feeling.
All right, that's cool, man. I'm digging this, man. Cookie.
Yeah, yeah, cool. I mean, it's the future. I saw before Hef even brought it up. I saw you guys were definitely doing some heavy marketing on like Instagram. I think I saw it on, and it's interesting. Like you said, there's a lot of technology that's going to be leaning in this department. I was wondering with the software itself, like it seems to me and Hef were talking about this, a lot of the pre-existing popular DAWs, like, whether it's Ableton, Logic, it seems like they'll be implementing a lot of this type of technology in a certain way. And I was wondering, do you guys ever see like maybe partnering with a DAW like that? Would that be like some type of, not necessarily end strategy, but like maybe a collaboration where it would be like, built right into to the software, as opposed to like a VST, like it would be more native and seamless, so to speak?
Yeah, that's 100%. I do believe that'll happen with us, and not just with us, but with our competition. I think, or even the DAWs themselves. They might just hire their own team of AI scientists and just start making something that will come with the software when you buy it.
Yeah, it's funny because the precursor to this, what you guys are doing, you guys are kind of doing the next level of AI stuff. But with precursor was, they've been doing stems for years in the DJ software, and then the DAWs, like and it's amazing. Like, Fruity Loops, the program everybody cracked, got cracked versions of and experiment when they're kids. It's like the stem, it's Fruity Producer now, I think it's called. But I have a license from like, I don't know, like 20 years ago, but it's still good. I downloaded the latest version.
Yeah.
And the stemming, like before, if you wanted to stem, like at the separation, you'd have to do all kinds of third party crazy stuff. But now, like right in the program, you just like right click
So sick.
and the stems sound flawless. I actually used it to stem my own music because I was too lazy to dig up masters, out of old hard drives. So I was like, screw it. It sounds good enough to go like, take somewhere and do a little of this and of that with it. But so it does seem like stuff like you guys are building is like the next wave of implementation into these softwares. I was wondering, like, have you thought of any other applications? It's very interesting, the melody, like the focus on melody, you guys. I think that's an interesting aspect too, because it seems like not the lower hanging fruit, because everything is important in music, but it seems like it would be easier to approach like some type of AI randomized beat generation. Like if these drummers and beat makers sent you guys beats for you to like scramble that up in the AI MIDI wizard, it seems like that would be a lot easier. Not easier, but it would be, it seems like it would be a simpler equation. With melody, I know there's only a certain amount of notes and a certain amount of, rhythm notes. But it's interesting to me that you guys approach that. I think it's can you explain a little bit about how that was? It was at in your department, like how you guys came up with that idea. I know you said the other gentleman is what came up with the software, but I just was interested in your views of that on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would know exactly, kind of the thought process of starting with, melody generation, but it's definitely one of the more, I would say simple, AI music products that you can come up with. I think it's also the most easiest to use, and everybody needs a melody and a chord and whatnot. So I think starting, with the basics and kind of, targeting, producers that might be very, might be expert in it, but they might get beat block. But also, at the same time, targeting producers who are just starting out and just they might not know how to play the piano or make notes, and this would definitely help them. So I think it's kind of like a great starting point, if any producers wanted to get into utilizing AI for their music.
For sure. I was thinking it's kind of like a reverse. It's like changing places with the AI in a sense, because people prompt AI, right? But if you as an artist, maybe you write your own melodies and you're a wizard on all the instruments and everything, but maybe one day you just have a little bit of block. So the AI can kind of prompt you with the melody. And if you'd like to, you could take that prompt. It reminds me of songwriting. Some songwriting groups, like they'll have a prompt. They'll just get together and they'll all write songs, and they'll come up with a prompt and they'll write a song off of that prompt, whether the prompt is Lemonaide or it might be, something.
Yeah. I think a lot of producers overlook the fact that you can change the generation that you get. And I think a lot of people are just like, oh, they're gonna, take our jobs, and it's just gonna be all AI music and nothing else. But I mean, someone had to have choose the preferences on that generation, and then someone had to drag it into the DAW, and also it's just for 8 bars. So a lot of people will change that, or I mean, for me, I use them as an idea. I almost all the time, I won't use exactly what I'm given. I'll probably tweak it up a little. Maybe it's not quantized, or it is quantized and I don't want that. But I think what's generating out of these models is just a starting point, to get someone going, just an idea.
Yeah, I want to know why you guys didn't implement drums in this particular model. I know probably a lot of people are thinking the same thing, so maybe you could break that down for
Yes.
us?
So I would say it's really difficult because if you know you want to talk about a drum loop, you know, there's percussions and cymbals and hi-hats and so that's a lot harder to put together. And it's also a lot harder to train because it's, you know, in midis you'll have one instrument, but if you know give you know a 4-8 bar loop of a drum loop, that's multiple instruments. You know, you got your kick, you got your hi-hat, you got your snare, so it's one a lot difficult to train on. And you know, also something you know that's a lot more kind of difficult to get right in terms of you know what that model is gonna, you know, put out.
Makes sense. Yeah, makes sense 100%. What do you use to you know, once you have the pattern in there, what are you using for making your drums? Like, what's your process?
So I like to kind of start with like kind of like a template that I have depending on the BPM. You know, I'll have I use Ableton, so I you know load up a track that I have for a template with my, you know, classic kick, hi-hat, snare, cymbal, and whatnot. But then, you know, if I'm switching up genres or I want to switch up the mood, I'll change those. And you know, I have a lot of sounds that I've collected over the years, you know, one shots and all that. So I'll drag it in. I try not to use the same kicks or claps in every you know song, unless they're going to be similar or like for the same artist. But you know, if I'm thinking of something new, I'll usually just go on Splice for, you know, a sound you know to add.
Can you add your own instruments or your own MIDI like into Spawn? Can you add your own melodies to Spawn and have it respawn what you've created? Can you customize it that way?
So no, but that is a thing. I have seen that where people can upload a MIDI and then you know the product will output 5 or something variations of that MIDI. But also to your point, kind of in Lemonaide we have something called Lemonaide Bridge, and if you don't like the sounds you know that we have in Lemonaide, those presets, you can actually use whatever type of piano or sound that you want by using Lemonaide Bridge and by connecting it to your DAW. And
Yeah, that's cool. See, that to me that's fun too, because it's, yeah, you're using AI, but you're manipulating it to make it your own sound, to give it whatever's coming, whatever's in your mind, whatever you hear. So I'm loving it. I think that's awesome that you guys actually have something that bridges your instruments, your MIDI instruments to the MIDI sequence that's already created. I think that's, yeah, that's great, dude. Cookie, would you use this in your production setup? Would you find any use for this? Because, you know, Cookie, you play live guitar, you know, you sometimes live drums, live bass. Would you find something like this? Like how would you utilize something like this? Your mic is off.
Good, because I just said some really mean shit. No, I'm just kidding. But in all honesty, I would never use it. But I do see value in it for I think it's cool. Just the probably one of the biggest joys I get out of music is creating a melody. So I wouldn't give that to another. I don't even give that to another person to do another, like, let alone give it to a software program. But I
Understood.
don't mean any shade when I say that, because like I was saying earlier, I do think it's for artists. Like, I'm not a great drummer, for instance. So I was a good inspiration. And as even with melody things, like there's these tools now with AI, but I'm sure you guys both know there's been tools out for years like Easy Keys or Easy Tunes, and these they kind of have MIDI chord changes and stuff, and you wouldn't really use them in a, like, oh, actually they're on major records. People use them all the time. What am I saying? People just kind of click download from Splice or from Easy Keys, and you know, and they use them, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But I could see this program for somebody who wasn't particularly somebody who gets such a joy out of creating melody as I do. but they still love music, and they're a creator of music. It might be a DJ that maybe just doesn't really do well with melodies, but he has great grooves and he knows how to put together great grooves. Like using this software to kind of prompt them to spark an idea. Jacob was saying it earlier, kind of, you might be a great producer, but you might sit there one day and you still want to be productive, but you're not feeling it. Put this thing on it. It might might give you an idea that sparks an idea. So it's cool, but no, I would never use it.
So, question.
Understood. Thank you for your opinion. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Jacob, sorry about
question
that.
to you, Cookie. So when you, I mean, I don't know if you've ever ran out, of ideas, for
Never.
for the new guitar.
Next question. Never.
But if you
He's like,
have, let's say you have, what would you do from there?
I can't even imagine ever running out of ideas. It's just it wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think it would ever happen. Just to be honest, just to be totally honest. Now, like with that said, sometimes I'll start working on something and I don't hear the next idea, but that doesn't mean I don't have it. It's just not there. But if it's not there, I'm not going to go searching for it, because I've searched for it in the past, and what I found was something that wasn't timeless. To me, when the melody comes to you and naturally, anything I've ever created that way, stuff I've written 30 years ago, I could still go out and sing today and be confident in. And then there's times where I tried to spark it, an idea or spawn an idea, if you will, and just, force it. And it was like, it was cool for a minute, but then like a year later, it makes me cringe, and there's nothing wrong with cringing either. It's part of growth, but that's just the way I feel about that, though.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, maybe it's since there are very few people out there that can have the ability to never run out of ideas, and because they're musicians at birth, it's in their DNA. But so I think really primarily AI is helping to lower the barrier into that kind of field, just for people to compete with people that have been doing it forever. So I think it's a really a big game changer for I would say the novice or beginner musicians and producers.
100%. I really think those tools, even like you mentioned, Splice is another great tool. Like, I think these are tools to help people that are unlike Cookie, that do have that block, that maybe have that producer's block, or they're learning, and it's a great level of entry for people to get
I just want to
involved
interject
with.
real quick. Hef,
Yeah.
not to cut you off. I want to interject though, because I'm not coming from a place of people less than. I'm coming from a place of, once again, I said the joy of creating the melody. So that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the experience, the bliss I get when something comes out of the sky into my
And it sounds amazing.
body and I create it. Like
Yeah.
that joy is a big, it's not all the reason, but it's a big part of the reason why I do it. And I would say that if there's novices out there and you can take a shortcut to that, I think if you use that as a tool to get to what I'm talking about, I think that's cool. But I think if you use that as a tool to bypass the experience that I'm talking about, which isn't, I'm not being, I'm not coming from a place of ego. I'm coming from a place of the way I feel when I create something. And if you bypass that, sorry about my dogs, if you skip that altogether, then what's the point? Like, what's the point of doing it? Why don't you just have AI make the whole thing and then cut you a check? I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's cool. But I think you're robbing yourself of joy. That's all.
Yeah, it's all about the creative process. I actually completely understand that.
Yeah, I want to say my piece on it. I think that it doesn't matter to me. I'm a sampling artist. I grew up in hip hop, in that culture. That's all I know is sampling, pretty much. I mean, besides me playing drums, but I'm not, it's not like I can just walk around with a drum set and just start jamming. But I love taking stuff, and I don't give a shit what it is, whether it's AI, whether somebody farted in the mic and I can turn it into a beat like Devin Ibiza. To me, it doesn't matter what it is that I'm using, because I'm going to take whatever it is that I grabbed, whatever it is AI wise, I'm going to put it into a blender. I'm going to chop it up. I'm going to replay it. I'm going to manipulate the hell out of the sound. So you would never know where the actual sound came from. And that gives me joy, because I'm creating something from something else. Whether it's a sound, whether it's a melody, whether it's a chords or whatever it is, even if it's me playing along to it. I just love the fact that there's things that are like this that you can actually use to manipulate, not just to take the AI and let the AI do everything for you and you call it a day and you're like, oh, I'm a producer, No, I think there's a level that you have to jump in there and you have to dissect it in order to give yourself the label producer, just like Premier would, with a beat, or Pete Rock, or any of the dope producers, J Zone, you name it, Madlib, Jay Dilla, any of the amazing, even Dave Guetta, any of those guys that are making music. They're sometimes it's not even their sound. Sometimes it's somebody else's sound that they sampled and they're manipulating it in some particular way using, I don't know, just anything you could possibly think of, any effects and stuff. And he started to ramble on, but that was my 2 cents out of it, because I come from that background of sampling,
No, that's awesome. I think that's the bottom line is, as an artist, you should follow your path and choose the tools you use and, follow your bliss,
That's right.
Yeah, I also think with producers like Dave Guetta that have been doing it for decades, new technology comes out and that would disrupt their creative process, and so I really don't think that producers that have been doing this for so long are going to be happy to jump on it, because it completely disrupts their process in creating music. So that's one thing that we completely understand. But with producers that have been doing it for less than a decade, they have probably don't have a solid creative process down, or they do, and they're willing to embrace the technology in it, because they've been around technology for all their lives.
Yeah. I mean, look, if you can get the sound from anywhere, if you're doing hip hop or whatever, there was an amazing producer that I had an opportunity to interview, RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. And, we were at a record store where we did the interview in Los Angeles. And right next to the record store was a karaoke store. Like, this was like when this is going back over 10 years. And so I'm like walking around with him in the karaoke store. I'm like, what are you doing, man? He's like, he's like, this is the best shit to sample. Because this was before you could like stem things out, and there was no lyrics on it. So he was like schooling me on manipulating the karaoke music sounds to sample, because he couldn't get what he wanted from the actual record that he was trying to sample from. So I just thought that was awesome. And it just opened my mind in regards to like, use anything, sample, it doesn't matter. Like Cookie said, follow your bliss. If you get bliss out of however your process is of making the music, do it. Just don't use if it's AI or if it's somebody else's sample, and you just don't manipulate it. Like, if you take the thing and you just kind of pop it in and you layer it and you just arrange it, that to me is like, I think a waste. Maybe you're learning and you're getting your feet wet, and then you could figure out, like Cookie said earlier too, like learning what you learned, and moving on and making something from the knowledge you gained from using the samples. So but I love the product. I think it's very fucking cool. That's
No, thank you guys. And to go to your point on stems, I saw something on LinkedIn the other day of somebody dropped a product that'll pretty much stem out a song, and I think that's definitely going to be a product you'll see in the next coming months, from various AI music companies, and that's going to be a big disruptor too.
What music do you listen to? What's like in your tape deck right now? What are you bumping?
Oh, everything, man. I mean, it just depends on what I'm doing. But I would say majority of the time it's probably either like hip hop or alternative. I would say probably like that. But if I'm DJing, I'll play whatever the crowd wants. But usually it's like like pop remixes, house, all that type of stuff.
Give me 3 songs that have been super influential in your life.
Oh man.
Put them on the spot, bro. You know what I'm saying, Cookie?
Yeah, you gotta put him on a spot like that, man.
I don't even know. I could probably name 3 artists, but I mean,
give me 3 artists. Give me 3 influential artists.
Okay. I would say probably Drake is going to be one of them. All around reason. For producing, I would say Kanye West with his samples. And another one, I would just say another one overall, maybe A$AP Rocky. Those are big 3 favorites of mine.
Awesome. All hip hop.
Yeah, no.
Excellent. That's awesome, dude. So what's next for Lemonaide? It's Lemonaide, right? So like what's next for Lemonaide or Spawn? Like where do you go from here?
Yeah, so I mean it's just improving the products we have. I would say maybe a little bit more models within Lemonaide, and like I said, big name coming soon. And then also kind of expanding on our partnerships. But also there's a lot of different AI products that we could definitely think about getting into. Like I said, the stemming product, a drum loop, maybe even just bass lines, or maybe even just something that would create sound. And then you can use that on the midis that you generate or something like that.
Who are some of the partners? Who are some of the companies, I guess, that you're partnering with? And do you guys have an overall exit strategy for this? Like when you built it, did you have like a way to get out of this in mind? Sell it to a bigger production company?
Well, I would say, I mean, I came in 2 years after it was founded. But I would say there's not a monetary goal in terms of an exit strategy. I would say it's the one goal that I know our CEO has is just treating artists and musicians fairly, and kind of disrupting the AI music scene with ethical AI music products.
I think it's great. Cookie, you want to jump in?
Oh, no, I like that. I like that because we know there's been so much in the media and just about different companies and platforms and models scraping artists. And I don't, to be honest with you, I don't know how to feel about that because I mean, if you think about it, I don't know. It's like I haven't really put deep thought into it yet, but there's lawsuits and stuff from Sonos? Is that it? Is that the
Suno and Udio? Yeah, I could definitely talk.
There's lawsuits because they definitely were proven to take music or to learn from music that was copywritten music. This is a thing. So I mean, I think that's really cool that you guys, like, that's one of your things. That's one of the things you hold high in the company is to do it ethically, and you're using real artists. They're giving you stuff, and then you're putting them in the AI scrambling machine wizard, and then spitting that out for people to make new stuff. And I think it's cool. And with that, saying that the current lawsuits and stuff, and artists are getting really upset. I'm not particularly one of them, but there are artists getting really upset, saying, hey, but the way I see it is, if you sing a song, if you write a song and you're whistling it, and before you recorded it, and the person next to you might hear it, and without even knowing, they might go home and write a song that has a similar melody, and you inspired it. I don't necessarily look at it as plagiarism. I look at it as inspiration, especially if it goes through the AI scramble machine, and then a human takes that and they put their spin on it. So I think that's cool that you guys are looking at that. That's all. I mean, I'm with that, but at the same time, I don't think it's. I think it's the artists. And once again, I'm rambling, but I think it all goes back to the joy. It's not so much
Yeah.
that AI is going to take our jobs. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think AI may have people take shortcuts. What are those shortcuts for? Like, if you're not smelling the flowers, why are you walking down the street with flowers on it?
Yeah. What I like to say is that AI will not replace people, but I think people using AI will replace other people. I think that's a very common theme, and not just the music industry, but everywhere else.
I think,
I agree
yeah,
with that.
yeah. I think that's a pretty strong and solid answer because, we have to stay current, to stay relevant. We have to stay current with everything. We have to at least be knowledgeable on it. And,
Mhm.
It would be
people
it would be stupid of us if we didn't use it. Like it's here, it's there, it's at your fingertips, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
my friend
AI.
Bob, my friend Bob's always really upset now because before there was Google, everybody would always call him and ask him questions because he's really smart. And then Google came out and he was like, man, hardly anybody ever calls me anymore because they just look on Google. So since ChatGPT came out, he's really pissed now because he's like, now nobody ever fucking calls me. But
Is he
anyway,
living down? Is he living in a bunker somewhere?
pretty much, yeah. Bunker Bob is what we call him, actually.
Uncle
Yeah,
Bob.
but to touch on Udio and Suno, those are kind of the two big AI companies, that have been, using copyrighted data to train their AI. They both got sued last year by the major labels, but I think just a month ago, they kind of announced that they are now working with Suno and Udio. And I mean, I don't know, what the lawsuit was about, but I feel like maybe it's just, they kind of just started that lawsuit just to hold out to figure out what they can do.
I agree.
And
They
how
didn't know what was what, right?
yeah, yeah. So I think it's very interesting because the two, most hated AI music companies out there and most criticized was getting sued, and now they're working with the labels.
It just goes to show you, like, even the major labels, they didn't, like you said, they were doing whatever they were doing to kind of hold the process so it just didn't get out of hand. And I think it's cool that they're kind of working together because you have those major labels on that side really didn't understand what they were doing, what those two companies are trying to accomplish or what they've been doing or whatever the deal is. And now that it's come to now proper, hopefully everyone gets paid, artists get paid, and there's no, manipulation of that, but I think that's cool that they did come together because look, why not? Why fight each other? I say the same thing. I'm not really political, but I'm just like, man, why are these countries fighting with each other? Why can't they just get along and make money together? Like what, So I think it's kind of sort of somewhat similar there, with those guys getting together.
Yeah, and I mean, personally for me, I really don't see them as competition because they're making full songs when we're making melodies and chords and whatnot. But also that that I feel like they just don't have the same vision with kind of what we want to aim towards. And when I met MJ, I just kind of realized that we had the same exact vision with kind of treating artists fairly and giving them what they really deserve in terms of compensation and all that. Because prior to Lemonaide, I was really heavy on trying to work with artists and like either I did artist advising and a little bit of artist management on the side during college and a little bit right after. And I kind of emphasize that, even before AI, artists need to treat themselves more so like a brand and a business, and not just an artist, because with social media, with live streaming, with music videos, there's just so much more to just releasing music on Spotify and hoping someone catches on, because that's not the case anymore. I mean, labels look for your followers, how many people,
Everything.
how many people are viewing your TikToks, and people are signing artists based off of those numbers, and not how talented they are, and they're just looking at the numbers. And I mean, I've seen labels, they're even signing people that just live stream. They're not artists, they're just live
It's insane, right?
yeah.
So
And so I think we're going to really start to see a big shift in entertainment towards live streamers, whether or not they're musicians.
Yeah. I want to ask, in regards to the producers that you reached out to, how did you know who to go to? And their response, like, to doing this, like, what was the approach with this? And what if you went to these producers and they were like, nah, go fuck yourself, I don't want to do that shit? Well,
Yeah, so I have played a big role in reaching out to producers, actually, and like I said, some that we work with will come to us through MJ, or MJ, our CEO, knew them prior, but with my process, I actually reach out through Instagram DMs from the Lemonaide account, and honestly, I don't find them a specific way. I'll search music producer and click on whoever comes up. I'll go into who Ableton's following or FL Studio's following, and I'll click through those producers. And primarily, I look for producers that want to try out our product for free, and then do a little content on it, and post it on Instagram or YouTube. And that's from a marketing standpoint. But if I come along a very interesting producer who might have just followed us, I see they got a lot of followers, or they have produced records for a lot of big artists, I'll reach out and kind of say, like, hey, you want to talk music AI, love your music, blah, blah, blah. And that's kind of how I get the process started. And, we get a call, and, the question isn't always right away, like, you want to do a model with us. It's
what's the consensus? What's the response from these people when you hit them with that question?
Yeah. So I would say majority of them don't respond, for whatever reason. But a lot of them are really interested in it. I would say, 1 out of every 10, maybe, they'll just simply be like, I'm not interested. I don't really get a lot of hate or negative criticism. That's more so in the comments. But yeah, it's mostly positive. People want to learn. I'm very vague, and I say, you want to talk music and AI. And so I think that's what kind of gets them interested, and because it can lead to anything. We don't have to take their 500 MIDIs and create a melody generator out of it. We can really do anything that we're capable of with AI and engineering. So whatever the producers might want to talk about, we can discuss and might turn it into something tangible.
I think it's awesome, dude. I think it's a cool software, bro.
Yeah.
I like tinkering with things. If you could manipulate and just messing around, like I said, these days it's just more of hobbyist for me to do it, but I still get so much enjoyment out of it. I don't care what it is. I'll manipulate it. I'll figure out how to make something funky from it.
Yeah, I've been producing for quite a long time on Ableton. I think like 8 or 9 years, and honestly, I still don't know how the hell to use that entire thing. It's just so complex.
Cookie's a pro at it, dude. Cookie, you're a pro at Ableton, dude.
I love the program, but I wouldn't call myself a pro. I just kind of clicked the wrong buttons enough to know which I need to click.
Play with something. Yeah, but I do focus on DJing more so now. But I'm really happy that I have that producer background, because if I wanted to make my own remix or put 2 songs together that I thought of for a set, I can actually do that, and it's a really good to have that experience for DJing.
I want to ask you, like with Splice, it syncs, like you use their what, UI. Well, yeah, I guess their
Yeah, the
UI, right?
It's
Yeah,
like
UI.
VST, right?
Yeah, and it syncs. So like you change the note, you change the tempo, detune it, whatever, and it syncs automatically to the tempo. Does Spawn do this where it syncs automatically? Like, does it change with the tempo? Like, I haven't manipulated that part of it yet. I just kind of have left it at the generic, tempo
Right.
or the default.
No, I don't think so. Like more so with Lemonade. Like, are you talking about with the DAW versus the the
Yeah. Like working with Ableton, like does it work in conjunction with Ableton? Like, yeah,
Yeah.
you know what I'm
Yes.
talking about. Like Splice has that, you have that little blue button, you click it, and it syncs to your Ableton.
Right. Yeah. So with I would say no, because the preset with InSpawn in Lemonade, has that BPM, and so you would set it from there. But that is a great idea. We can probably use for a future.
Yeah. I just was actually thinking about that. It was a random thought, as I was
Yeah.
thinking about Splice and like just, what is the next upgrade that you guys are doing? What can we look forward to here from Spawn?
Yeah. So, trying to see what would be appropriate to talk about here. But I would say more.
And how often do you update? Like, what's your process with that? So,
it just depends on what we can do. If bugs come up, then that kind of delays feature updates. But we do try to update either monthly or bi-monthly. I
wow.
think one of the big things that is coming is just more moods.
More moods.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, man, this has been awesome, dude. We're getting, close to the top of the hour here. I think this is very cool product that you guys have come out with. What's your outlook with the company? Like, what before we get out of here, like what drew you to the company? Why did you want to really get down with it?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
because real quick, because this AI part wasn't really there before you got there, right? Like not Spawn. Right. Yeah. Right. Okay.
Yeah, I would say, for one, it caught my attention because music. I love music, and I would love to be in the music industry for a career. But another thing is, I think like a year or like I would say 10 months before I kind of found out about Lemonade, Chat GPT and Write Sonic, was kind of making a boom into the industry, and I started using those a lot, and so I became really, really fascinated with AI. And before that, and I think this was in like early 2023. Before that, I had no experience with AI, so I started using this stuff, and nobody was talking about it. Nobody was using it in their daily procedures for work or in their daily life. Fast forward to fall of 2023, everybody's using it. Everybody's talking about it. It literally happened, with the blink of an eye, and so that's right around the time where I saw Lemonade. I think it was on a job site called Wellfound, but I also kind of connected with MJ on LinkedIn. And then a few months.
They had an ad on a site looking for someone like yourself for marketing.
Yeah, I actually for 2 years I was kind of in and out of small companies and kind of a couple VCs, and I found them through a job site called Wellfound, or before it was called AngelList, and it's kind of like it's basically Indeed, but for startups and in small companies. But it's a very big focus on tech companies. So yeah, found Lemonade through that. Kind of became interested in what they got going on, and once I found out that he's focusing a lot on ethical AI, I was like, yeah, this got to be the one.
Very cool, man. And I'm glad that they're builders, they're developers, so that's great.
Oh yeah.
Cookie, I'm gonna pass the mic to you, my dude.
Oh man, this was great. Great show. Jacob, thanks so much, man. I really enjoyed hearing your take on AI, and what you guys are building is cool. And like you said, just like in a blink of an eye, I feel it's the same thing with these apps that everybody's building, including the one you're building. Like you guys are here right now, but it's moving so fast. Like your product is going to be like light years from where it is now in probably a matter of like a year, you know? So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I just think it's a cool time to be alive, man, and be, you know, flexing these tools and seeing how much we can get out of them, you know? So
Yeah, no, yeah. Thank you guys for having me. I completely agree. I mean, it's amazing to see the progress even, you know, AI is doing in 2 weeks. It's insane. Like I said at the start, I mean, it's moving faster than anyone can kind of comprehend, and I think by the end of this year, you know, nothing will seem, you know, like what it is now.
Yeah, it's just so amazing. I want to wish you the best of luck. Cookie, it's been awesome. Today was great. Jacob, thank you for joining the show with us. Jacob, again, everybody is from Lemonaide. Go check them out, LEMONAIDE.ai. They have a really cool product if you're into producing. It's called Spawn, which is, you know, human MIDI that is manipulated by AI and then manipulated by you. So go check that out. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We do this every Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but that is changing next week. We will be on at 2 p.m. We have the community jam. We do this community jam, Jacob. So if you want to come back and you want to hang out with us, it's nothing with nothing. We're just all talking. We're all bullshitting. If you have some producers that want to come and hang out also, like if you know anybody that wants to come on the show, we do it. We're going to be doing it next week at 2 p.m. Just let me know. And I'll send you a link for sure so you can jump into the StreamYard with us. But yeah, I want to thank everybody for being here. We greatly appreciate everybody's support. Thank you, people that are listening on Abstract, YouTube, and X as well. So we'll be seeing you soon. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great night.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in.
Just ripping. Tuesday night, 8:30 EST. Know where we be. Just ripping. Special guest, a tech and talk, a musicology. Just ripping. Coming to you live at the same time here every week. Just ripping. Jump in the room, let's chop it up. It really ain't that deep. Just ripping.